So you see the Max Speeding Rod shirt. First off, we got a new camera. We got a new mic. We got a Geo behind the camera. You can't see him, but I promise you we got those 3 things, so we're gonna succeed. The next thing is, I've been telling you guys to get me to 1,000 subscribers for I don't know how long now, and we finally made it. As of this morning, I hit 1,000 subs. So yeah, this stuff's gonna get good now. I've been telling you guys that once I hit 1,000 subs, I have some more stuff coming that'll make it a little easier for me to make videos. And yeah, we're working on it. But the purpose of this little segment, because this is Ray of the future. Yeah, this is Ray of the future in the video, because I'm recording this after the fact of everything else you already saw, or you're gonna see, something like that. But the reason why I'm here with the Max Speeding Rod shirt is because for the 1,000 subs, I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys something back. So me and Max Speeding Rods work together to get you guys a GT35 turbo, which I will get past right here. Voila. This is a GT35 82, if I'm not mistaken. T3 turbo from Max Speeding Rods. It's water cooled. It is an oiled turbo, and I'm gonna give it to one of you guys. It's gonna be real easy to enter the giveaway. By now, I probably already made the post on Instagram, and I hope you saw it. But with that post, you're gonna go ahead and tag 3 friends in the comments like we did before. Share the post on your story. Make sure you like the post itself. Follow my personal, the Ray Built page, and subscribe to the YouTube. The only things that I'm gonna be confirming, as long as you do the stuff under the post, is that you are subscribed to the YouTube and that you follow the Ray Built Instagram. Those are the 2 things that the winner is gonna have to show me. So make sure that when you guys do all the work on the post, sharing it, tagging your friends, you might as well go subscribe and make sure you follow the IG, because it would suck to win a turbo and not get it. But go ahead and open this. I'll show you the turbo. I've already opened the box, so I've already seen it. I wanted to see it. This was originally my turbo, but I felt like being nice to you guys. You guys took care of me. You got me to 1,000 subs, so I'm gonna take care of you, and I'm gonna give you the turbo that Max Speeding Rod sent me to use on my car. I'll worry about the rest later. But yeah, go ahead and get this open real quick, and we'll talk about it in a second. So here's the turbo. I opened the box. So now we can just, kind of pull all the goods out. Max Speeding Rods packaged the shit out of this thing, so you don't have to worry about it breaking on the way to your house. And if somebody breaks it, honestly, it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. But we're gonna go ahead and pull this guy out of the box so you can see this pretty creation from Max Speeding Rods. So these are billet compressor housing and exhaust side housing. They have like some ceramic coating on them, so you shouldn't really have any issues with this thing blowing up. They're roller bearings on the inside. They usually do real good as long as you have oil and coolant running through them. So this thing is pretty much ready to go. It's a bolt-on kit, and we can probably help you source the remainder of the parts you might need as well. So hit me up, DM me, some Ray Built right here. But this is the guy that you're gonna win. So yeah, make sure that after you finish watching this video, you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and go to the IG page, check the post out, enter to win this thing, and yeah.
Back with the Hyundai. The Jenny, the wheels, the car, the everything, bro. Where did we leave off? So we had the car with no wheels. Ronnie had the wheels, he had the tires. We got everything put over there. It's back together. In the time that I was, sorry guys, I'm using the gimbal and I'm trying to get comfy with it. So don't judge me, bear with me. The whole hand tilt thing is weird to me, but for the most part, we worked on getting the transmission mount while you guys were away. I didn't show you getting the transmission mount out because it's not the easiest place to record, as you can see, especially if I'm alone. But transmission mount is out. We got that thing ready to go. We're gonna mock it up. I did make another one, and it wasn't what I wanted. I wasn't happy with it, so I'm gonna take some time out, redesign it, remake it. This thing has to get shortened an inch. That's pretty much everything we need. I'm pretty much gonna shorten the slope between here and here. There's 2 1/4 from the body from here to the body. I'm gonna make it 1 1/4, and we should be good. I'll make that out of steel plate. This is the same plate that I'm gonna use for the RSX transmission mount. But that's not the point of the story today. We got the wheels on the car. We got the rear camber dialed. I would say for the most part, the rear is dialed for the time being. The only dilemma that we have with this thing right now is that the barrel touches the strut tower if we add more camber. So in the air, there's not a lot of camber, but on the ground, there's a lot more. The rear's the wheels have to come off. We have to bash the strut tower in a little bit just to make sure that he doesn't rub eventually, if he does put weight in the car or whatever the case may be. The front, we had a little tire situation, and these are a little too big. So for the time being, what we're going to do with these tires, we have to raise the front because the car is going to be raked a little bit. We don't want the front to sit that much lower than the rear. So raise the front, get the fitment to match, make it look as good as possible, and this thing should be good. Sorry, my hand was in the strap. Get this thing dialed in the front. We'll take some camber out. What else? Raise the front, figure out the alignment stuff. The rear was interesting because we had to do caster, toe, and all those camber adjustments, all those other adjustments you guys know nothing about because I barely get them. But anyways, we got that done. The rear on both sides looks the same. Camber's somewhat the same. We got to do alignment, stuff like that. That can wait. But I think for the time being, we might fill up the air compressor. It's over there. It's cold. My camera is dirty, but we'll get the air compressor filled up so we can use the air hammer. We'll air hammer the wheel wells and get that situated. Psych. I lied. We're gonna do the wheel fitting now. The welding can wait. I have some free time tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. I can play with the welding later. The motor raise and that part can happen in the same day. But the biggest part is the wheels. Like I said, we're gonna do that first. So we'll time lapse, we'll get the wheels off, we'll get everything kind of planned out, right? I'll tell you about the front, I'll tell you about the rear once everything's apart. I'll air hammer the wheel well area real nice and get that out the way. And we can go ahead and fit the wheels properly. So let's do that first, and then we'll come back and talk about it. All right, cool. So, update time. Bam. So what we did is we bashed the living hell out of that area there and just sprayed it with some paint. Now the back area of the wheel kind of looks a lot better. The front, I really just gotta take the wheels off, open the hood, and use the camber plates at the top to pull some camber out and adjust the ride height. So that's what we're gonna do next. And I think after we do that, we can clean up and stop for the day. The welding is pretty much after that. Get the car together, raise the motor, and do the alignment. So I'm kind of aiming for this thing to get the hell out of here next week. But yeah, let's go ahead, time lapse, get the wheels off, do some adjustments. We'll come back and we'll talk about it. And we're back. It doesn't look like a lot happened, I swear. It doesn't. You saw me do some weird stuff. I was talking to my fiance. I was about to say girlfriend. I do it all the time. But we got some stuff done. Give you a rundown real quick because you've kind of already seen what this is kind of going to look like. But now it's jacked up. The front is a little weak on fitment, I know. But it's because of the big tire. I told you that already. The rear, on the other hand, is pretty dialed. But we did come to the conclusion that he does have to get himself some smaller barrels for the rear. They are, I found out the specs, 10.5 front, 11.5 rear. If we can shrink the rear an inch, that'll give us a little more wiggle room in the back. And then we can keep the front how it is, change the tires. These are 225/40s on a 10.5. It's not that much stretch, which is causing the limitations we have, right? If we go from a 225 to 215, maybe even a 205/40, depending on how ballsy he feels, we can really make this the fitment nice and tight and not have to do any chopping at the top of the wheel well, hopefully. That's another dilemma, but we'll worry about that later. Now, this is kind of the front, right? Looks pretty good. Sorry, I'm still adjusting to the gimbal, but this is kind of where the front's going to be. Maybe a little lower, maybe not. I don't know. Now, the rear, if you look, that looks great. I love that. But fitment looks tight, nice and tight. It does not rub. I promise you it does not rub. I spun the tire with it jacked up this high. I do have to do the alignment, so the toe's obviously off, but That's a nice amount of camber for what it is, and we have like a good 3/4 of an inch to an inch of clearance between the barrel and the strut tower. I don't think it's gonna rub, but we'll still do the smaller barrels. So I'm probably gonna get stuck with this thing a little longer. In the meantime, tomorrow I'm gonna pick back up on the transmission mount when I have a little bit of free time. This is the damn mount. We gotta use the welder, but we'll go ahead and pick up on that. So this side is literally just adjust the ride height, and I gotta do the same thing on that side. That's just jacked up to where I want it, but the suspension isn't adjusted. Cleanup time is all I gotta do today. Just clean up some shit, make the garage look like it hasn't been touched, and revisit all this tomorrow. But yeah, this side. Let's do this side. This is where we're at. We're getting close. Raise the motor, fitment, alignment. This thing will stay here though until the barrels and the tires come in. There's no point on him taking it home. So what we'll do is, when this is done, finish the RSX transmission mount, get that out of here, send it home with some goodies that it's going to get put on. So that'll be another episode of its own. And then, like I said, we have Danny's stuff over there. So I'm sure you're going to be seeing a lot of content coming soon, which is good. That's what I told you guys. We were going to try to get some content. But, whoa. But for the time being, that's pretty much all we got today. So I'm going to clean up, eat some dinner, shower, and we'll be back tomorrow when we finish the adjustments on this thing. We're back the next day. I mean, there's not a lot to explain, but there is at the same time. You're probably wondering why I got the fender off. And to explain where the car is going to sit, there are some areas above the wheel well that we had to kind of move out of the way. The other side, fender is still on. I haven't really done anything on this side because I wanted to get that side out of the way, since that's usually the area. Wow. That's usually the part that you can't see too well. So in the meantime, I took this fender off. I have it over here, tucked away so it doesn't get messed up. And then I also, what am I thinking? Raised the coil over. Whatever. I raised the coil over. You can't really see it because the wheel's on, obviously. But I have to take the wheel back off eventually, and I'll show you how much I raised it, because I'm going to do the same thing over there. And that should be most of the suspension adjustment. I did have to adjust the caster because I realized that this wheel was really far forward compared to the center of the wheel well area, and that's not a good thing. The other thing was that area. As you can see, it's kind of bent up. I had to move that out of the way as well, and some of this. You'll see once I kind of take the other side apart, but I think at this point I can kind of spray that all up with black paint just to make it look a little cleaner and bolt this fender back up. I can leave that alone for the time being. Go onto that side, time lapse me taking the fender off, adjusting the coil, massaging all the areas that need to be massaged, and that kind of makes my life easier. But we'll go ahead and get this fender on. I'm not going to record that, but I'll get this side together, make it look normal once again. And then that side is the side that we're going to have fun with, and you'll actually get to watch me do. So we'll be back. And just like that, we're back with a visitor. Oh my God, it's angry. What's happening? There we go. So this side is done. You watch the time lapse. You saw me do a bunch of hammering, torching, cutting. A bunch of weird shit was happening, but the fender's on and the wheel's on, which means we accomplished something. Let me just pull this off. So from here, you can't really see a lot of what happened, but can you grab me that flashlight? In here, pretty much the areas that we're touching, if you look at this area, I had to push that up, push this back. There's a frame piece in here that I had to push back up. I had to flatten all this up and kind of push this. You can see the hot spots where I heated up with the torch. And then I had to add an extra collar to the coil over to raise it up and bring it where I needed it. And this is the finishing product for now. wheel can go back on. The next step of this is the transmission mount. That's been the elephant in the room for about a month now. And I have it over there. I'm not going to start today just because I have to do a lot of cutting, a lot of welding, and a lot of weird shit. Can it behave? Like, I don't understand what happened. But if I grab, let me see the flashlight again. I tried to show you guys before, but I couldn't really even tell where it was myself. But if you look where the light is shining, you see that stud, that rusty stud right there with a black nut on it? That's where the engine block mounts to the top of the motor mount. So we're gonna space that a 1/2 inch. And then under the car, there's another spot, which I don't know if I'm gonna be able to even really show you because the rack is in the way. But maybe? If the gimbal it's mad? Yeah, it's mad. You can't even see it. You can't even see it. But there's a bolt somewhere up in there that will easily show us, I don't know, it gives us like a 1/2 inch of threads. So we can raise the motor and I don't know. I don't know where we're going to go from there. But that's kind of what it's going to look like. Not torn apart. But I think for now, I'm just going to get the wheel back on, bolt it up, tighten the wheel. I checked the suspension. A lot of the stuff is tight. The only thing that's loose still is the back control arm in the rear. I have to use that for the toe adjustment and stuff like that. And I also took off the strut bar because the intake manifold is going to hit it when I raise the motor. And I got to space that out. I didn't want to give myself 2 headaches at one time. But yeah, for the cutting, hammering, heating, all that stuff, that's done. So front will clear. He is going to get the smaller tires, like I said, and get the smaller barrels for the rear. So I'm going to take that wheel off, give him the measurements for the barrel. We'll get this back on. We'll clean up and come back when I'm ready to do some cutting, welding, and more stuff that I don't need to be involved in. Loud ass welder. All right, cool. We're back. I'm gonna say it's like 2-3 days after the last stuff you saw. I kind of already started the motor race stuff, so I'm gonna be giving you an update as to what I did and how I did it, but I'm not recording me doing it because I'm by myself, and that was a nightmare. But I'll show you what I did. I did have to buy some washers. I did have to raise the motor up high enough to get the motor mounts out of the subframe and the motor, and pretty much space it out about 1 inch. And yeah, the oil pan sits up a lot higher. I think I showed it. I don't know, maybe, but we are going to talk about that. The next part is the fabrication part. This is where we got to fab up the transmission mount. We got to make this guy and make it better so it doesn't hit the ground. But yeah, let's take a little walk and we'll talk about the motor raise. I think I'm going to grab you guys right here. We're going to come this way. So first off, flashlight. We're gonna start with this. Maybe this side. I don't know which side's easier to see. All right, so if you look there, where I'm kind of flashing the light. Come on, focus, mother. Anyways, you get the point. You get the point. So that nut you see right there, that's pretty much the top of where the motor sits on the motor mount. If we come from down here, I can definitely get you a good shot. Oh my god. Let me turn the gimbal around. Oh my gosh, she's angry. This guy. So, if you can't really see, it won't focus very well. But I basically had to space the motor mount. I had to space right, you can see the washers. So you get the point. I spaced it off the subframe, spaced it off the motor. It's about 1 inch, and about 1 inch of raise. You can't see the other washers, trust me, but they're there. I did the same thing on both sides. If I come from here, if you look at the motor, you can see how much higher than the oil pan, the motor. You can see the subframe in the oil pan, how much higher the motor sits now. So oil pan will be safe. Those scrape marks will no longer exist. Those scrape marks on the oil pan, it'll just be these. So now comes the daunting task of the transmission raise, that little guy over there. But in order to do that, let me get my ass up. In order to do that, we have to get to some welding. So I'm gonna take some time out today, start prepping the welder, get the settings right, prep some steel plate, this stuff right here, prep some of that. We'll get all that. Let me turn my flashlight off. Get all that situated, get it all cut, get some test pieces going. I did get a new tripod today. My new camera comes in tomorrow, which is pretty fire. I'll have a camera. You guys will see some better footage, hopefully. But yeah, we're gonna set you up on the tripod. We'll do some time lapsing of me prepping the welder and getting all the settings situated. But yeah, let's do that. And we're back. And you just saw me throwing a bunch of sparks, making a bunch of noises, a bunch of messes. You couldn't hear the noises though because of your time lapsing, but gatekeeping 101. Long story short, this is the new trans mount, this is the old trans mount. I drilled out the center hole for the little, I don't even know what that thing is called, but it sits in this hole. 4 mounting points to the mount on the trans, 4 mounting points to the body. And I'm gonna be fully transparent. These are my welds with my welder. I don't want to gas myself up or anything, but I'm not a MIG welder either, guys. I learned how to TIG weld first. I told myself how to TIG weld at work. And this is what I came up with the MIG welder. This thing was like $200 on Amazon. Yeah, you got to play around with the settings and figure out. There is no giveaway settings like Miller and Lincoln does, where they kind of give you ideas of how it works. You got to figure it out yourself. But I kind of have this thing figured out. It's a 200 amp because my house is not set up for a shop. Compressor don't even work off the outlets. I don't want to talk about it. But the 200 amp gimbal, 200 amp welder works great with the 110 outlet, and I mean, decent penetration. I'm not even gonna be mad. And this thing fits great. The only thing I still have to do to this is I'm gonna take it to work and make these holes bigger, so the bolt has a little more wiggle room and blah blah. But I'm gonna take that to work tomorrow, make those holes bigger, grind all this back down. I might do one extra pass over the welds just to be 100% sure that these welds are nice and thick. Grind this down, paint it, mount it onto the car, and as you guys saw earlier, the motor raise is already done. So we're literally on the home stretch of this car. We can get this thing on the ground, get it aligned, and get it outside. In the meantime, he's gonna go ahead and get barrels and tires and little things like that. He's gonna try to be at Cars and Coffee April 14th. So if you're out there, check him out. Take pictures of the car, tag me. Ray built, you know what I mean? Tag me. But in the meantime, we'll go ahead and get the RSX in, raise the motor on that. That's going to be a different type of project. That's going to be a little harder, but we'll get that done too. And then next month we have Danny's stuff. So I already said all that. For the time being, this is where we are. The motor is raised. I do have some situations up here. We are redoing the intake piping because no fender liners. So it's going to land about right here. The other dilemma is the strut bar is not going to fit anymore. And then we have to make sure that the motor doesn't hit the hood. But that's for another day. He also has a plenum spacer. So worst case scenario, we can take the plenum spacer out. But yeah, I don't think I got much else. I'm going to clean up so there's no mess. We'll be back tomorrow with the trans mount. And yeah,
We're back. And we got this guy. We got the Genesis. And we got the trans mount. So with the trans mount, I told you that I had to just redo these holes. They were a little too small, so it didn't allow for shifting of the trans bracket and kind of bolting it into place and all that stuff. But we got that fixed. The holes are a little bigger. I spray painted it black, so now it shouldn't rust or anything like that. And pretty much all we got left to do is to just get it onto this thing. Get it onto the car. That means I have to go underneath the car. Yeah. Trans mount. So let's go ahead, get under there. We'll jack up the motor, get the transmission mount in. The other thing that we have to talk about is I did mention that we might have some slight situation with the plenum spacer that he ran and the hood. which you see, it will not close. To remedy that situation, we're just gonna go ahead and source. If you look, these are bolts. From factory, they're studs that are threaded into the plenum bottom half or something. I don't know. Something along that line. But what we can do is we can go ahead and take the spacer out. If we can't get the studs and the nuts from factory, we can source new bolts or even cut these down just to bring the plenum back down. And then when we put the transmission mount in, it'll lift up the back of the motor. It'll kind of even it out a little bit so we can really see how bad it is. But we're still gonna have to take that thing off. So yeah, I mean, let's go ahead. Ooh. Let's go ahead and get that thing in. Yeah. Get that thing in. And hopefully start prepping to see this thing on the ground. So there we go. The mic was off, guys. Don't mind me. I'm still figuring out the whole camera situation. But transmission mount is in. What else? Exhaust is 50-50. There's a lot of things wrong with the exhaust, which we'll go over before we're done. But all right, so if you look, another flashlight won't stay. All right, but if you look, I promise you what you're looking at right there is the new transmission mount. You can see those are that chromish bolt right here next to the exhaust. I can't get my other hand in and point at it, but those are the 2 bolts that go up into the body. And then you have 4 bolts right there. That's that circle. I don't know what that nub is on the motor mount, trans mount, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what that nub is, but Hyundai put it there. I wasn't gonna mess with it, so I just drilled a hole in the center of the plate so that thing can come through it, and mounted the 4 13mm bolts. This raised the whole setup like a total, I would say about an inch, roughly. If you look, you can see how much higher than the frame rail everything sits, which is kind of the goal. I wanted everything to sit higher than the frame rail. Transmission and the motor are officially raised. This is the other arm I had to adjust. I had to make some small adjustments on this arm to get the caster proper on both sides. And I think last but not least, I just got to tighten those sway bar end links. I'll tighten the sway bar end links, and we will be ready for the alignment. For the most part, this thing is on its last legs of being in the garage. Tomorrow, we're going to come back. We'll go ahead and get the car on the ground, start eyeballing the alignment situation, figure out the plenum stuff tonight. He is going to see if he can source those bolts that I was telling you, these right here. If he can source those bolts for that, we'll go ahead and drop the intake manifold down tomorrow and start getting the alignment stuff prepped. But yeah, we'll come back tomorrow, revisit this. Hopefully the motor is still in the car and not on the ground. And yeah. We're back. We are back. And we're pretty much ready for alignment. I'm hoping that this is the time that you get to see this thing finally on the ground. We have to get wood under the wheels, obviously. Got to get the lift out. But we'll go ahead and get wood under the wheels. I'll get this thing lowered down onto the ground. The lift has to come down, so that means I'm going to have to pull the pump out. But we'll go ahead and get the pump out. We'll go ahead and get this thing back on the ground, start looking at the alignment stuff, make some adjustments, and finally get a look at what this thing is going to look like. Sadly, you might have to wait until the next video to see some footage of it rolling and driving around, because I am going to have to get the bolts for the intake. I was telling you about that last clip yesterday. This thing has to come down a little bit because it sits way too high. Maybe I can drop the motor a little bit, but ideally if we can keep the motor this high, that will be the solution to the problem that we're having. So yeah, let's go ahead and set you up on the tripod. I gotta take the tripod out of the pack. Take the tripod out of the packaging, put it up, put the camera on it, and time lapse the actual getting the car on the ground. So yeah, let's do that. And it's on the ground. This thing is on the ground, finally. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, it's on the ground. That's pretty much the biggest goal here, was to get it on the ground. I did some alignment adjustments, but I'm not gonna fully finish the alignment today. That's gonna be something that I'm gonna have to have time for, and you will see the beginning of the next video with the rollers and all that fun stuff, because like I told you, I can't get those today. But that's okay. We've gone over a lot. You guys saw the giveaway. We made 1,000 subs. It's been an eventful week, and I got this thing on the ground, which was the biggest job. Motor is raised, car's on the ground, camber is done, wheels fit, no rubbing. The car starts, it runs still. The only dilemma we have is, as you see the hood gap, that 1 inch or so, I would say, is the 1 inch that I'm gonna have to take out of the manifold spacer, intake manifold or whatever. But wow, that just looks so good. The front is gonna change. He is gonna get new barrels for the rear, smaller barrels, so we can add a little bit more camber and match with the front. The front is gonna go a little lower when he gets the other tires. With the smaller barrels, we can run a little bit of a smaller tire with a little more stretch, and that'll give us the clearance we need for turn radius and all that stuff, and make it lower. So ideally, if you look, it's kind of sitting around the edge of the lip, maybe a little lower, like almost tucking the front lip, kind of how my Civic used to sit. And then the rear, if you come over here, the rear is tucking the lip basically down to the beginning of the spokes. So if we can match that to this fitment wise, and then match the camber back there as well to what this looks like, I'm a happy guy. But yeah, the saga of this thing is almost over. Literally just alignment, do some exhaust touch-ups, manifold or intake plenum spacer, and close the hood. But yeah, let's go ahead and get the work area all cleaned up, get some stuff put away. It's kind of a mess over here. But we'll get everything cleaned up. We'll get the work area kind of situated, and maybe I'll get some B-roll of this thing. We'll get some B-roll, we'll talk real quick, and we'll wrap this shit up. Because I know you guys are tired of hearing me. You guys are tired of watching the video. You probably already turned it off. And if you didn't, I love you. I love you. Ooh. So, the Genesis. Long story short, we had to do the custom transmission mount. We had to raise the motor. So we pretty much spaced the motor mount up about 3/4 of an inch, a little less. That equaled to 1 inch of spacing. We had to adjust rear camber, redo the rear camber arms because the bolt adjustments and all that were kind of uneven. We realigned the whole rear suspension. Some arms were longer than others to compensate for things in the rear. It was real weird. So we redid those arms. We got them readjusted all even, front to back, left to right, side to side, whatever you want to say. The hood is closed. I did say about the plenum spacer. That was another situation. Talk about that in a little bit. But for the time being, this thing is sitting at sub 10 degrees all around. I'm not gonna talk specific camber numbers right this second, just because we are gonna come back and redo the camber on this car when he gets the barrels and the tires. But yeah, I mean, I know these aren't the glamour shots you guys wanted to see. I'm sure I'm gonna add some B-roll at the end of the video for you, but this is where we're at. The motor is raised, we're not gonna have any scraping issues. We still have to touch up the exhaust and the alignment, but that will at least get the car outside. The plenum spacer, I'm gonna grab that. But first, talk about the bolts. So the main issue I have right now is I have to get bolts. You have one of these guys, it's a really long guy, and then you got these. These are long too. If I can convert the manifold into studs, I can use studs and nuts to hold the plenum on. But this is the stuff that I have to take with me tomorrow to work. Match this third pitch, match this third pitch, get a stud that'll fit this, which I think I have those. But the ones for these are the ones that I gotta find. That's not that big of a deal. The worst case scenario, we run short of bolts, including this one. The plenum spacer, I already took it off. This is the plenum spacer that he ran. It's like 1 inch thick, as you can see. This thing is huge. This is what I took out that allowed me to put the manifold back where it's supposed to be and allowed me to close the hood. I checked the spots where it used to touch. It is not touching anymore, so that is good to go. But for the most part, that's the Genesis for now. You're gonna see it again, but obviously I wanna show you some other content because I've shown you 2 videos of this thing already. But for the time being, this is good. You guys saw the little segment at the beginning of the video of the giveaway for the turbo, which I'm staring at right there. So if you haven't yet, go find the IG post. Make sure you tag 3 friends, like the post, share it on your story. After that, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and that you actually follow the Raybill page. When I pick a winner, I'm gonna cover the shipping, but all you have to do is show me that you're subscribed to the channel, because a lot of you aren't. I checked the stats and a lot of you watch my videos. Like 65% of you watch my videos and aren't even subscribed. So what are you waiting for, bro? Right there, look, under the screen, subscribe. Hit the button. Show me that you subscribed, show me that you follow the Raybill page, and I'll already have the confirmation of whether you shared it and if you tagged your 3 friends. Win the turbo. I'll also put it in for you. So hit me up. We'll get you the parts you need. We'll put it in for you. I'm gonna pay for the shipping on the turbo, and I got the turbo. You don't gotta do nothing. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Let me put these bolts down. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you for sharing on Instagram. You guys kill it when it comes to sharing the reels and the whatever I post. You guys usually kill it. Thank you to those of you that I consistently see liking the posts, watching the videos, commenting. I have people that'll hit me up on Instagram and be like, yo, I watched this one video, that video, this video, whatever. Thank you so much to every single one of you, because I've put so much time and effort into doing this just because of you guys. I know I say that all the time, and I feel like a broken record when I say it, but I truly would not do this if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you guys do to get me to this point. That's 1,000 of you guys that have taken time out of your day to subscribe to my videos. And it's truly something I never imagined. When I started doing the YouTube videos, I truly didn't expect to have so many people watching the videos and keeping up with me. I did it as a hobby. I'm already working on these cars inside my garage at my house. It doesn't cost me anything to do this. I do it for you guys. So again, thank you so much. Make sure to like, make sure to comment. Again, if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Follow the Raybill page on Instagram. Follow my personal, So Static Ray with 2 Y's. That's SOSTVTICRAYY. Yeah, something like that. I'll put it down here. I can't even spell right now. But listen, it's been a long week. But yeah, you know what I mean? Show me some love. Follow me on IG. Share this with your cousin, your mom, your brother, your grandma, your dog, your cat, hamster, whatever it is that you got laying next to you. Send them the link so they can like the video and subscribe to the channel. That's all I need. The views come after. But if you guys like this content, like I said, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and enjoy the rest of the videos. That's all you gotta do. Peace out.